Garnacho, I want to bring this up because it's been a hard weekend because of all the games and how spread out they've been to talk about all the situations. Garnacho liked a series of tweets, 2 tweets actually, from Mark Goldbridge. Let me just say from the outset, Mark Goldbridge is not some people have said Mark Goldbridge is called the problem at the club. Mark's allowed to tweet. If a football player retweets or likes it, it's not on Mark Goldbridge. But Goldbridge said that Ten Hag subtly blaming Garnacho in the post-match press conference, not a good look, throwing a 19-year-old under the bus who has actually delivered for you this season. But then again, he's clearly scared of upsetting the big earners. Garnacho has been one of our best players this season. Poor first half, but taking him off at halftime and holding him up as the problem is a joke. Many have done much worse week in, week out, and are still there. See, Garnacho like these, it calls the big sort of fight, big arguments. Everybody was getting sort of flashbacks to the Jadon Sancho situation. He has, unlike those tweets now, and on top of that, he has the reports have come out at United. They've spoke. It's been dealt with. He's apologized and they've moved on. But there's a lot of people saying that Garnacho should face the same scrutiny as Sancho, the same punishment as Sancho. How do you, first of all, what do you make of Garnacho doing this? And secondly, what do you think there should be wider repercussions?
I think this is just the age we're in. It's the social media age. These things happen. Like it just, I think Garnacho's unbelievable. I think he's an unbelievable player. He's going to be part of this United rebuild, whatever happens. I just think it's their way of speaking out without actually speaking out. And you can't be penalised for liking a tweet. You know what I mean? Ultimately, the blame falls at the feet of Erik ten Hag that the players feel this way. I think it's just a silent protest type thing. And I think I actually like to see it. I think it's refreshing. I'd love to see some Liverpool players like be liking things, interacting with like fans and media people. Maybe as long as it wasn't Anfield Agenda's tweets, then I'd back it. But I think it's refreshing. It's cool to see. I don't think you should get. He can't get blamed or in trouble for liking tweets. It's just the social media age we live in, and if Erik ten Hag can't handle that, it shows that his ego is very bruised, and he can't. You know, he's not up. He's not big. The job is too big for Erik ten Hag. He's being swallowed by it, and he's just not the guy. And by all accounts, he looks like he's on the way out. So I don't think he's going to.
What it is, yeah. That was just a clear indication that these men are just fed up of him. You know, because when I watch the team, like I've said to you, Terry, it's just a bunch of individuals. You know, they're not buying into what he's trying to do. And for Garnacho to like those tweets, right, from a manager who's basically been playing him all season, he hasn't dropped Garnacho. He's been getting the most minutes pretty much on the wing, right? It goes to show that even he's thinking, yo, this guy don't know what he's doing. Do you know what I'm saying? So Ten Hag, the inevitable is going to happen, Terry. You know, we're having the same conversations. He's going to get sacked. Like, if Ineos keep him,
he's gone.
I don't know what they're thinking in it, but he's gone. Like, he's gone. End of the season, he's gone. He's getting sacked.
The players don't rate him, clearly. If you got guys tweeting out stuff like that, liking tweets like this, they don't rate him. And if this was a mistake where he liked it by accident or something like that, I don't believe that necessarily. These guys probably all have burner.
No, he also liked to tweet. Whether it was him or whether it was his social media team, it's irrelevant. He employs him. He's accountable. He also liked a tweet from Statman Dave that says that Alejandro Garnacho has scored more goals, 7 than any other teenager in the Premier League this season. I didn't actually know that.
There you go.
So when people turn around and go, I don't think he's that good, he's outperforming any other teenage attacker in the league. Like, it demonstrates how generally difficult it is. I do agree. I think the players have lost it with Ten Hag due to the way he's making us play. You saw at the weekend the spaces we allow. I felt so sorry for young Willie because, yes, he was the first time he got cooked. Okay, Solanke did him, but why Solanke got the run on him? Because the midfield is so disjointed. The second goal, the space between him and the right back, and Delo was out of position for that. No midfield covering in that position is horrendous. And I think the players, they have to talk, not just amongst themselves, international teammates, friends that are at other clubs, and they must be having the conversation. What are you all doing? We are the only team in the Premier League that has a midfield we don't have a midfield. We have 5, 6, 7 people that press, and then the back line drops back deep. And then there's a big hole in the middle for our opponents to play in. I'm not someone that overly supports player power per se, but I understand why these players are frustrated. I understand why they don't. And then when the manager consistently blames them. Yes, Garnacho was poor in the first half and he should be criticised because I did. But then when he's sort of saying basically my system would work if the players were better, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't, because even in games where individuals are playing well, the system lets us down in the end invariably. And it's why we've lost more games at this stage of the season than any other Premier League season, more shots at this stage of the season than in totality of any other league campaign ever. It's why only Sheffield United have conceded more shots on us on goal this season. It's blaming Garnacho's first touch for all of that. I get why the players are going to stand up for themselves. I really do, because it's absolutely crazy.
There was literally one pass that Bournemouth were playing from the back that was just cutting through your whole team and going straight to Solanke or what's that midfielder that Bournemouth had, number 10? I forgot his name now. What's his name again? He was running round you lot. Christie, that's it. Yeah, Christie. No, Christie. Christie. Sorry, right. Yeah. He was balling out. And Kirkes, this is a guy that I've spoken about. I want him at Chelsea, right? That's my number one option at left back. He locked up Garnacho. And you could see that these men don't respect your team, because he was playing everywhere, Terry. He was left back. He was going into midfield. He was like playing as like a false nine. He even hit the ball with his head. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man, it's the inevitable that's going to happen here, man. And listen, I really hope that Chelsea, I know we're not on Chelsea yet. You know, right now we're 6 points behind United with 2 games ahead, two games in hand. I pray we finish above United. I pray.
Before you jump into that, I just want to stay on this Ten Hag point. Terry, has Ten Hag ever come out after a game, given a press conference, and said, it's my bad? I messed up.
Yeah, there's zero accountability.
Not on the players. Because I've never seen him do that.
If I say no, I wouldn't be telling the truth, because I haven't watched every single one. There have been times where he said we weren't good enough today. He's never come out. I don't remember personally. So I'm not saying he hasn't. I don't remember him saying I got it wrong today. I don't think I've ever seen him personally do that. But for me, as you say, I had this thought during the Man United game. Bournemouth are a decent team. All the teams that have beaten us this year, other than the top sides, are decent. But they're not that good. It's us. We make them look better than they really are. And I'm not taking anything away from them. If we just had a very strong structure in and out of possession, we'd have made top 4 this season fairly easily. We're 7th. But every other underlying metric, which, by the way, shows that data isn't the only way to assess football, individual brilliance is key. It's only because of, for instance, Bruno on Saturday was very good individually. Without him, we lose. And that's how we've managed to get the level of points we have this season. Neeks here with an interesting point. He says the players not rating Ten Hag is fair. Ten Hag being sacked for the way we are playing is fair. But what's the excuse for all the poor performances from Moyes, LVG, Jose, and Ollie? Well, of course, listen, Nick, you and I have had this conversation. It goes way beyond that. And it doesn't mean that a lot of these players have got to go. And there needs to be an absolute cultural change at the football club. But at the same time, the players, when they're purchased or they're promoted from the academy, need to know what they're in for. So if you know how the manager, like if you sign for Pep, you know how the team's going to play football, you know what to expect. I reckon there'd be a lot of disgruntled players at City if you signed for Pep and then he started playing prime Jose ball. Because you're going there expecting to play a certain way. And I think that's the issue that I see, and not just with him, with multiple managers. And we've made the mistake along the way. And it's why this summer, Neeks, this rebuild's got to work. But equally, on the Sancho stuff, I want to say really quickly as well, I feel the difference is the player has unliked them and then apologized. And the scenario with Sancho was Sancho didn't delete it for a while. He may have done in the end, but he didn't do it straight away. And he, up to this day, has refused to apologize. So I think if Garnacho would have gone in, refused to apologize and kept the tweets liked, and then was back in the squad training, then you could call it double standards. But because the scenario hasn't gone the same way, I don't personally see how it can be double standards. And that's just my take on it. But it's not the same scenario in my view. Although they've both done something on socials, he's apologized, and the manager said it's already done. It weren't a big issue. But of course, you don't apologize unless it's not an issue.
I would just, I swear, if you just don't let players on their phones for the first like half an hour after a loss, that would just solve these problems. Just everyone's head is hot. Just don't let them on their phones for half an hour. Because Garnacho probably heat at the moment. He was annoyed, liked those tweets, and then half an hour later he's like, I probably shouldn't have done that. Sorry, I'll unlike them. Like other than Sancho, which was a different case, I just feel like, having your phone on you straight after a loss is not a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, I hear you. It's almost like it's why we love the manager and player interview straight after games, because you get that raw emotion. If they did them 2 hours later, there'd be none of those classic post-game kind of comments, as it were. But yeah, look,
he stormed that, Terry, man. I'm telling you, that has to be the last straw, bro. He stormed that the thingy interview.
Yeah, you can see. Look, there's still a lot of United fans defending him. I don't understand it. I know that, but everyone that's defending him, it's such low-hanging fruit. Oh yeah, but the players are still going to be here. So how does that fix us? Well, we need to move a lot of them out as well. It's not so much just let's just get rid of Ten Hag and we're going to be perfect next year. But the way we are playing in terms of the system is all on the manager. How do we know this? He has told us. He has told us this is how he wants to play. This is how he's going to play, and he believes it's going to work. If you think it's going to work with some better players, then fair enough. But no one says that. It's kind of weird.
You know what the positive is, though? If I'm not mistaken, Terry, Man United, the people who hired Ten Hag are pretty much out the door. So
yeah, of course, and that's why I don't think we'll say. Oral Campbell here says Terry is so blinded by his hatred of Ten Hag that he's not telling the real story. What did he say wrong in his presser to go back and watch it? But I haven't slammed Ten Hag. I haven't turned around and said Ten Hag was out of order. I've said what Garnacho did. Now I have listened to the press conference, and I don't think it was I didn't interpret it as badly or in as bad a way as Mark Goldbridge did, but Garnacho clearly did as well. Because if Garnacho would have read Goldbridge's tweet like me and gone, I don't think it was that bad, Garnacho wouldn't have liked it. It's not about how I interpreted it. It's how Garnacho felt. What do we think should happen to Garnacho? Why do we think he did it? And how did it get resolved? It's nothing to do with again, I don't hate Ten Hag. I've never once said I hate him. I've never used a pejorative, I don't believe, to describe him. I've said nothing disgusting or nasty about him. I just don't think he's good enough to make my football club better. So out of the love of my football club, I want him to be removed, Oral Campbell. So one thing I will say is I definitely love Man United Football Club more than I like Ten Hag. I'm not afraid to admit that, my friend.
I don't understand how any United fan can have patience with Ten Hag. What has he done? Yes, you won the Carabao Cup, fair play, but ultimately, a club like United, they've been playing awful. And I think like Rory was saying earlier on about Spurs' league position maybe papering over the cracks. United's league position, like, it flatters them really, because you've had some real bad stinkers in there this year, even worse than the previous banter years you've had. But like, there's nothing. He's brought nothing to Man United Football Club, and he's actually failed to manage big personalities. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo, was he at his peak? Absolutely not. But to not be able to utilize Cristiano Ronaldo in whatever guise, in whatever it just shows that he can't manage the big personalities. He was all right at a team like Ajax, where they're a feeder club. You know, they come and they go, and he could control these minnows, but he can't deal with personalities. And the minute like someone gets good or notoriety or more famous like Garnacho, he just can't handle them. He just doesn't have the ability. He is not big enough or good enough for Man United at all.
I think the results are proving that. You understand player power, you say, but you think Ten Hag will be sacked. Come on, Terry, make it make sense. Nacho has played 30 consecutive games. Bad game was coming. I understand that. I mean, listen, the Garnacho thing is a little bit of a storm in a teacup, and it isn't the reason for disagreeing. I am not a fan of player power, but I'm not. You've also got to understand why they're doing it. I'm not saying it's right that some of them look disinterested. So understanding why something's going on and agreeing with why it's happening are two very, very different things. It's layered thinking, my friend. Player power needs to be fixed at the club as well. But one way you fix it is by bringing in a manager, a style, and a consistency to the club so that everybody is happy. I guarantee you a lot of these players are unhappy because they don't want to play this way, because they know how bad it is. And I think, and they're not like in a normal job. Footballers have a very limited career, 10 to 15 years at the highest level. You don't want to be wasting 3, 4, 5 years playing like this. So I do understand it as opposed to agree with it. This here says, Gal, I'm an Arsenal fan too, but Ange talks like the rest of us Aussies. Yeah, half my family are Australian. He just sounds like they do, honestly. He just sounds Australian. How many players is Ten Hag going to throw under the bus? Well, there's been a lot. And if you do that, it has to improve your team. You have to. It has to be players that are genuinely disrupting the dressing room. And so far, when Ronaldo was moved on, to be fair, we did improve and we had a really good run up until the Carabao Cup. But the rest of them he's fallen out with, it's made the team worse. So there we go.